Donald Trump, how are you, sir?
How you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. You know, people keep saying, where does Donald Trump stand on the issues? And I say to myself, well, why the hell don't you ask him?
Yeah, it's not so hard to do, right?
No, I mean, all I got to hear about all the static and everything else. So I just want to ask you, and you answer as you wish.
Okay.
Federal income taxes.
Well, we got to cut taxes. You know, we pay the highest taxes anywhere in the world. You know, they used to say it's number two. It's not number two. It was never number two, meaning for years. We pay number one, so we've got to cut it down. And, you know, the other thing we have to do, Mark, is simplify. It's so complicated. I have sort of an expression, a little wise guy expression, put H&R Block out of business. When you have people making not so much and they go to H&R Block and they give them a big check, it's ridiculous. So we have to simplify, and we have to cut.
Would you do a flat rate? You know, Reagan, I think, had two rates, 28% and 15 something.
Right,
I'm doing this by memory.
Right.
I don't remember. Is that what you're thinking about?
Well, you can do that. You can do, you know, there's so many, the fair tax, the flat tax, and you could leave it the way it is, simplify it, get rid of a lot of the bad deductions and lower the tax and make it easier. Because I'll tell you what, you know, look, I have a very complex return, but I spend millions of dollars on lawyers and accountants and you know, they need an IQ of about 185 just to figure it all out. And so does everybody. So it has to be simplified and it has to be reduced, my opinion.
The Environmental Protection Agency is spitting out these massive regulations, closing down coal mines, closing down public utilities. Obama said he wants to drive up the cost of electricity. Would you rescind most of these things and then take a look at it?
Well, you have clean coal now. They have amazing operations for clean coal. And I'm not saying it's as good as natural gas in a sense, and it is actually more expensive. But you have you know where we send much of our coal? To China. Now, we have a planet, and whether it comes out of Los Angeles or New York or whether it comes out of China, when you get up way up in the air, it's not going to matter that much. You understand. We're sending our coal to China, and they don't even want to do that. But that's who's using our coal. They'll take anything. You know, China will take anything. So we have to really do better. And, you know, the pipeline should be built. I hope we don't need the pipeline, you know, because it comes out of Canada. But we have to get the pipeline done. It's so many things we can do if we get rid of a lot of the environmental things. And also, that can also be largely a state's situation. The states want to have clean air. You know, to me, it's clean air. It's really, the importance is clean air, because you go to some countries and it's so dirty. And we clean our air. We do all sorts of things. Other places don't, and it's not fair. I will say this. We're at a huge disadvantage in so many ways. But what he signed the other day is, I don't know, it's almost like a death wish.
You know, the EPA seems to be at war with our industrial heartland. I mean, this used to be the working class base of the Democrat Party. These are now the Reagan Democrats. Would you try and win them over? I
think I could win them over, and I feel strongly about it. I think I'll win them over. I think I'm going to win the Hispanics over. You probably saw a poll that came out recently, Mark, in Nevada, the state of Nevada, and it was Hispanics, and I won the state. I think I'm 34% in the state, which is a great number, and I won the Hispanics with even more. So everyone was sort of surprised, but they know I create jobs, and that's what they want. They want jobs. So we're doing great with Hispanics. You know, after that first week where I was hit hard because I was misquoted, and, you know, they took one quarter of a sentence and they'd leave the rest of the other sentences out. But people are now saying that I'm right. I was right on, basically, it was illegal immigration. Then you had the killing of Kate and the killing of Jamil, and you had so many different things came to light, and it's dangerous out there. I went to the border 3 weeks ago. You saw that probably, and it was an amazing experience. I can tell you that.
Would you shut down these illegal sanctuary cities?
I would. I mean, I think they're terrible. I guess it's a way of trying to streamline things, but what happens is there's no coordination, and guys like the wise guy that came over from he came right through the border. 5 times he came through the border, and then he killed Kate. And there's no reason. And San Francisco, who would think? So I think I can say that you might not have ever heard of sanctuary cities if it wasn't for me, because nobody was talking about illegal immigration until I brought up the whole thing with Mexico is sending. You remember the famous line, Mexico is sending. And I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to do that. And the other thing I think I brought up, big league of the vet. You know, the vets absolutely being, our vets in this country are being treated like third-class citizens, and I think I brought that up loud and clear too. And something's going to be done about it. Hopefully, it's going to be done by me, because I don't know of anybody else that's going to be capable of doing it.
Would you bring in some private competition? Because I think that's what it needs. This centralized Stalinist system just ain't cutting it.
So, Mark, I've gotten to know so many because, I really have been making the rounds. It's a pretty wild thing, and I've gotten to know so many vets. They're incredible. And you'll see these great, strong people, wonderful people, incredible families, and like tears are coming down their eyes. They wait 4 or 5 days sometimes to see a doctor. One was telling me he waited 5 days in a waiting room. Think of it. Look, I know you. And if you wait 12 minutes, you're going crazy with a doctor.
I'm out of there.
Basket case, right?
Yeah.
How would you like to wait 5 days? At the end of the 5th day, the doctor said, "I'm sorry, I can't see you. I'm going on vacation now." Mm-hmm. And these are people that can be, fixed up fast with a pill or with a little incision. We're not talking about major operations. We're talking about just seeing the doctor to get better with something easy to cure. And they wait 4 and 5 days. And as of Wednesday of 2 weeks ago, it was the longest wait in the history of the VA.
So how do we fix this?
Well, you need competent people. We have a system that's absolutely broken. I agree with you. We have so many people outside of the free market that could take such a burden off the VA. And I'll tell you what, some of the people working in the VA are terrific people. I've also gotten to meet a lot of them. Mm-hmm. But the system is broken, and the senators and the congressmen and the people in Washington have done such a poor job. And whether it's Senator McCain or Senator any one of them, they've done, for so many years, they've done such a poor job. But you can privatize parts of it. You can get really quick, really good care for people. But it's never been worse. It's literally now at the all-time worst. And the wait, you probably read this, as of 2 weeks ago, is the longest wait they've ever had.
Hollowing out the military. Here we have the rise of Red China taking over the South and East China Seas. Here we have the rise of Putin. Here we have the Islamo-terrorists on the move, 2 caliphates going at once. Right. We are threatened on fronts you wouldn't have thought. But we got cyber wars going on, and Obama's hollowing out the military. Would you rebuild the military?
You have to. There's always been danger in the world. The world is a pretty dangerous place, and I guess at its best it was dangerous. But today we have one additional item that you never had, and that's the power of the weapons. I'll tell you, you have another one. I used to think medieval times was a very brutal time. They used to cut off people's heads. I figured they don't do that anymore. And then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, you started seeing with James Foley and other people, and we say, what's this? And if you're Christian and in Syria, you have your head cut off. They're brutal. And we have to do something about that. We have to do something about a lot. I was never big, and I shouldn't say this to you, you'll get angry at me, but I always felt that going into Iraq, Hold
on, let me stop you. But you know how I view this interview?
Go ahead.
You need to have an opportunity for once to tell people what your positions are before they attack you.
Right.
So go ahead.
That's good. I love that. I really appreciate that, Mark. But, I always felt that by going into Iraq, and of course it was really a false premise, the weapons of mass destruction, which turned out not to be. But you're going to ruin the balance of power, because it was always Iraq and Iran, and they were the same strength. They were almost like twins that would fight. And they fight, and nobody ever won. You'd go 10 feet one way, 10 feet the other way. They'd take a 10-year rest. And once we knocked out Iraq, we ruined the balance. And I'm quoted in 03 and 04 as don't do it, don't do it. Okay. And yet I am the most militaristic person. I would have the strongest military. Nobody would mess with us. Right now we have a military that is, it needs help. Okay, to put it nicely, it really needs help. And I wanted to do something like let them keep fighting, just don't ruin the balance. And I said, Iran will take over Iraq, and Iran, which is going to now take over the oil. And who's taking a lot of the oil out of there is China. After we spend $2 trillion and thousands of lives and wounded warriors who are incredible people, wounded warriors all over the place, you go in and you see Iraq, who's taking out a lot of the oil is China. This is crazy.
Now, what do you make of China's economy? It looks like it's starting to collapse.
Well, what they're doing is, it's a very managed economy, and what they did yesterday was incredible, where they cut their currency, the currency manipulation. They're the greatest the greatest in history. And what that is that sucking sound. It's taken the money right away from us. You know, when they cut their currency, it's the biggest cut they've had in 2 decades. And they should not be allowed. That's like cheating, okay? That's cheating. And when they do that, they take our money right out of our pockets in terms of this country. And, you know, you think of it, they've taken our money. We've rebuilt China. We have single-handedly. They've taken, because of a lot of stupid politicians and stupid leaders. They take our money, they take our jobs, they take our manufacturing, and we owe them right now $1.4 trillion. So, Mark, think of that. They've taken everything, and we owe them money. And we owe them a lot of money, $1.4 trillion. So it is incredible, and it can be solved so easily. But Obama has no clue. He has no idea. I mean, he comes and they give state dinners to these guys from China, and the guys from China going back home, they say, how dumb are they?
What do you think of this Iran deal and our friends Israel
I think Israel's in deep trouble. I mean, I think something's going to have to be done. You know, one of the things about the deal, look, there's so many things about the deal, the 24 days. And, you know, the 24 days doesn't start for a long time because you have to go through a whole process before the clock starts ticking, right? But even a thing like, I think it's great to have a deal, but we should have doubled up the sanctions and made the kind of deal you have to have, all right? Not the kind of deal that they're doing. But one of the things that amazes me is the 4 prisoners. First of all, it should have been brought up at the beginning, not at the end. But the 4 prisoners, you say, fellas, we want those prisoners. Used to be 3, you know, now it's 4. In other words, this is the world's longest negotiation. This thing's been going on for years. But when it was 3, they should have said, before we begin, you don't want them, we do, it's good, it's going to make us all look good, let the prisoners go. So when they asked Kerry why they didn't ask for the prisoners, Kerry said he didn't want to complicate the negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think of it. He didn't want to. His exact words: "We didn't want to complicate."
Would you have said, "You give us those prisoners now"? Period.
Oh, I would. Okay. So day one. First of all, this is a negotiation that shouldn't have taken longer than a week. What they're doing is tapping. I do it all the time. It's in business. They're tapping us along. Tap, tap. They're doing a lot of bad crap, Mark. I mean, they're doing bad things in there while we're being tapped along like a bunch of suckers. The first thing I would have done, though, just because it's sort of like, you know, Jeb Bush said about me, his tone. he was talking about my tone. And, you know, with him, it's like falling asleep. It's like Sominex. So he didn't like my tone. The fact is, it sets the right tone. You go in at the beginning, at the very, very beginning, and the first thing you say, fellas, you got to give us those 4 guys. 3 guys, now 4 guys. You got to give us the 4 guys. You got to give it to us right now. It's going to be great for you, great for us, great for you. You don't want them. We need them because psychologically it looks good. You'll make a better deal if you give them. I guarantee you, if I was there, they would have given us those prisoners very quickly. I don't even think we asked for the prisoners. I'm not even sure that we asked.
Let me ask you this before we run out of time. Let me ask you this. You consider yourself a conservative. What does that mean to you?
Say it again, Mark. I didn't hear you.
You consider yourself a conservative. What does that mean to you to be a conservative?
It means to me to be, in terms of, you know, you have different types of conservatives for different types of worlds, okay? In this world, it means socially conservative, pro-life. It means strong military. It means fiscally conservative. We want to guard our money. We want to guard our wealth. We have to have tremendous security. We have to do things right. And we have to live in a very conservative way. We have to get our debt back down. You know, we're ready to explode. As a country, we are fiscally ready to explode. We're up to 19 trillion, almost 19 trillion now. Can you believe it? And at 24 trillion, as soon as we go up to 24 trillion, that is such a bad signal. So we're up to about 19 now. We have to get our house back in order. Another thing, we have to rebuild our infrastructure. So we need strength in military. We need social strength. We need military strength. We need all sorts of things. I mean, our country is a mess. It's got to be redone, and it's got to be redone fairly fast. And one other thing, we're not respected in the world. The world is ripping us off left and right, whether it's Mexico, Japan, China, every country. The world is ripping us off left and right, and nobody likes us. You think at least
why do you think people won't let you express your opinion on these issues. It just drives me nuts. Everybody that comes on here, I ask them questions about their issues.
Right.
They want to bring up the what's her, Rosie O'Donnell, all this. Yeah, I'm not baiting you, Sid. I
understand that, Mark.
I'm saying, why don't people let you speak about these issues?
I was hit with, I started off that debate, and the nice part is whether it's Drudge or Time Magazine, they did all these polls, and everybody had me winning the debate. But I tell you, even the other candidates, they came to me after and your friend, by the way, Ted Cruz did a good job. He's a good guy. I heard you talking about him. I was listening to you on Friday 2 weeks ago, and when he had that wonderful vote in the Senate. And I'll tell you what, he's been.
Wait a minute, you're a regular listener?
I am. Oh yeah, I listen. I was listening on 2 weeks ago Friday. You were talking about Ted Cruz, and when he was in the Senate.
You should have heard me after the debate. I don't want to get into that.
That's what I was talking about. I think I heard you right after the debate. It was sort of amazing. Actually, you were not happy.
But listen to me a sec, because I'm going to have to go because I have a hard break. So where do you go now to campaign?
Well, now tomorrow I'm going to New Hampshire. And on Saturday, I'm going to Iowa to the state fair where we're going to have thousands of people. And tomorrow night we have an amazing thing in New Hampshire. And, I'm leading in New Hampshire. I'm leading in Iowa. I'm leading nationally. And so people are listening. One of the things I found is that the public is really smart. They really get it. But I was hit up with a couple of questions that were not appropriate, as they say, and it was a little ridiculous, but it really worked out great. And
Donald Trump,
since then, gone up, so.
Be safe out there. You're going to have these Black Lives Matter when all lives matter, but you got people who are going to be pulling that kind of stuff, so you got to watch out.
Well, you do, absolutely. I'll be very careful, but we'll be very stern.
All right. Well, good luck to you.
Thanks a lot, Mark. And you really do have a great show. Keep it up.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Take care. I treat everybody who comes on this program with respect, and I ask them questions. I hope that you learned a little bit more information from Donald Trump there. I'll tell you what, he's engaging as hell, isn't he, Mr. Producer? He really is. Now, let me ask you a question. He was at least as substantive. All these people... John Kasich, a sitting governor. I think I got more out of Trump than I'd get out of Kasich. I'll be right back.